What's up, everyone? Welcome to this new episode of the Flowprints podcast, a space where we share the blueprints of our ongoing glow up. I'm Helena Morgane, your host. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, intuitive and highly sensitive, and this is where we talk about all things wellness from that special lens we got as creatives. We're here every other Tuesday of the month, so take a seat and let's vibe together. All right, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to a new episode of the Flowprints podcast. I'm Helena Morgane, your host, and it's been a minute since I did a creative self-care check-in, which is when I talk about what I've been up to creatively, spiritually, in terms of my self-care, everything wellness. And I kind of use that as a launch pad to get into other topics. And the last one I did was the art of slowing down, which I got a lot of great feedback for. So I was like, which I got a lot of great feedback on. And I thought, let me do another one. What are the updates? So we've launched a newsletter. I'm so proud of us. I've been really wanted to do that and offer that for a minute. But we launched it at the end of June / beginning of July. And the newsletter is crafted by the amazing Zainab, who is our digital content manager. I might throw in a paragraph here and there every now and then. I don't know when or if I'll do it. I think I will. But she's really handling it beautifully, and she is the one that is writing and talking to all of y'all. So sign up, send it to a few people that, might love it. And before getting into today's topic, reminding you that we had an amazing episode that we just posted 2 weeks ago with Vanessa from Mint Worthy Co. And we talked about money, which is a fascinating topic, an important topic for, I think, everybody, but specifically, as creatives, I feel like we don't typically have a good handle or just a good financial literacy. I don't know if that's proper English to say that, but you know what I mean. It's important to understand how money works and, to really view that holistically. So it's the episode prior to this one, and I hope you listen to it and enjoy it as well. And so now I'm going to get into what I've been up to. And I think it's going to get juicy. I'm going to talk about stuff that I never talk about publicly. It's summertime, right? And particularly right now, we're in a heat wave and I'm recording and hoping that you can't hear the AC. I think we're good. But I really thought I could get away with just not having it on because it's the morning. But no, absolutely not. And it's summertime. I'm loving the vibe that is, all around Toronto. I feel like it's our first real summer with things being open in the past 3 years, right? With, fewer restrictions and people enjoying themselves genuinely, right? And I love that. I went to a couple festivals, I would say a couple weekends ago, and just seeing people dancing, eating food, socializing, it was lovely, right? It was a day that I think in the past might have drained me a little bit, when you just can't wait to go home and get in your bed. But I was just feeling really recharged. I hadn't seen people, a crowd, doing their thing in a hot minute, right? I think the last party I really went to was in 2019, which is so fucking weird to say. But outside of 2019, I had been to I made a little appearance at a party when I was in Paris, but outside of that, nothing. And we're really creatures of connection and love. So I'm loving that for us. And I think I've shared in a previous episode that it's been a lot of change happening in my life and relationships shifting and changing and ending. And so now I feel like I'm really in the thick of seeing like what meeting new people feels like, and just seeing my like the new version of who I am interacting with people. And I love that. Including dating, which is probably the topic that I never talk about publicly out of everything I'll mention today. But I'm back on the dating scene, which is a big deal. I feel like I kind of felt ready to date again around 2020, around November 2020 to be specific. And it just wasn't the right timing because lockdowns were still happening. But also, I don't know, I'm a very private person, and being on apps was not my thing, and that was the only option. So instead of really getting into it, what I did was just like kind of, practicing certain things when it comes to, doing the work inwards, but also, I guess, mapping and imagining like what kind of dating experience I wanted for myself, what kind of partner I wanted for myself, and all of that. And that's been, I guess in the works since November 2020. And now I'm, I guess, getting to really practice. Because there's only so much work that you can do on your own. There's a point where you have to practice. There's a point where you have to put yourself out there and just really see what stuck, out of the things that you've learned, out of the things that you've reprogrammed and everything. So it's super exciting. And what I really love, there's a couple of things that I think I love the most about that, is that I feel like dating for me right now there's a sense of novelty. So it's exciting, it's fresh, love that for myself. And it impacts like everything else, right? I feel like it impacts how I show up creatively, how I show up on all different levels, honestly, in life. I feel like even my mood is a bit different. Yeah, I love it. And the other thing I really like is getting to experience myself, because of course I'm getting to know new people, whether it's like romantically or platonically, but it's like I'm witnessing myself in the dating experience. And I have to say that I've been very intentional. I mean, I'm always intentional. I try to be, but essentially what happened is two people were like, you need to get on an app. And I was like, absolutely not. But in the end, I joined and I was like, oh, this is fun. Let me just, experiment with this. And before like really joining, I took the time to set some intentions. So intentions not as in goals, not as in like, I want this and that to happen and pop, 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 pop. No, it's not that. It was mostly like just checking in with myself and, setting intentions about the vibe that I wanted, the type of experience that I wanted. And it's kind of like, it felt like a bit of a ritual. Or I think certain people would refer to that as like maybe a prayer. I don't know. It wasn't like praying per se, but it was just me going over the things that I wanted to feel, right? So yeah, I'm excited about that. Well, let's see where that leads me. But I think it's the summertime energy that also encouraged me. Like definitely the friends that suggested it, but also it's summertime. If you had told me that in the winter, I would have been like, absolutely not. Thank you. Bye. So yeah, the right season to do that. And I guess everybody has a different type of experience. I personally have never had like a negative experience on an app. I think the last time that I was on an app was like 6 years ago. Very long time ago. I've never had a negative experience, but I think that, and I say that without judging or wanting to, seem like holier than thou, but it's I feel like how you show up is going to shape what you attract, right? And you can absolutely attract, I don't know, like just bad people here and there, but you can also remove yourself quickly from that space, right? And just like you can show up in a certain way that doesn't necessarily align with your goals, and then you attract people that are not aligned either, and that sucks. So yeah, to be continued, maybe. Another thing that's been on my mind lately is the amount of patience that is just needed in what I'm doing creatively. And I actually wanted to bring up a tweet. Let me see if I can pull it up. A tweet by Kaya Nova that felt very affirming and very encouraging. And it's not the first time that I'm very inspired by what she writes. So let me pull up the tweet. Kaya wrote, "Living, quote unquote, my best life is not usually soft, let alone comfortable. There are moments of ease, yes. But to be honest, it's mostly been hard choice after hard choice, loneliness, because not everyone will understand your path, and fear because you're constantly doing something new." She continues and says, "I say this because I think we glamorize what walking in your purpose actually is. It will be your best life, but it won't be soft and easy 100% of the time just because it is what you're meant to do. It can be an alignment for you and still be the hardest thing you've ever done." And that really hit me because I was like, I can so relate to questioning your purpose, questioning doing what you're doing. And for me, like as an artist, like just thinking like, is it vain? Is it my ego? Am I pursuing this for the right reasons? And questioning that because things get hard and you need like an immense amount of patience, usually to create, because people are so used to seeing the final product, but they don't understand necessarily the process behind that. And the loneliness also in the process. Even if you work as a team, even if you lead or you work alone, I think that there's just a type of isolation that exists when you create. And it doesn't really translate. Like I think we can understand each other between creative, like as creatives, but if it's easy to feel unseen by people who might not have the same type of practice. Oh, I think I want to read the last part of her tweet. It's a third tweet. "I want us all to be softer. I want us all to be more gentle. I want us all to have more ease and live the lives we want. But we can't detach so much from reality that we think to be challenged is a sign of wrongness, or that our best life is the one with the least conflict." And that is so true. I feel like there is a tendency to bypass and just to oversimplify what your best life might be. I think I've talked about it in the past, but even the use of the word romanticize to me is a bit weird at times. Because I'm like, what do you mean? Like romanticizing to me is not positive. And I feel like it's been turned on socials as like a positive practice. But yeah, I mean, we can agree to disagree. It's just, I feel weird every time I hear that. But I really wanted to share that quote. It made me think, and I think I needed to hear that. Sometimes it's not that what you're reading or hearing is completely new. It's just that you needed to hear it or read it through someone else's, like you need someone else to tell you those things. And I feel like that's what it did. And honestly, that struggle that I talked about when it comes to questioning my purpose or questioning what I'm doing, it happens regularly. You know, it might not seem like it, but it definitely happens regularly. And it's just a matter of, you know, being patient, feeling my feelings, and to remember why I'm doing what I'm doing. And yeah, so that's been like one of my things lately, just the amount of patience that is needed, because I'm at a stage where a lot of the things that I want to do, unfortunately, depend on other people saying yes. And that is an awkward space to be in, because I think I have a preference for being the one that says yes or no, being the one in control of that, the one that has the agency. But yeah, it's just not always going to be that. And I often say, like, some of my creative practices, so let's say on one end, the acting and the screenwriting, can have moments that feel different from the work I do for the Flowprints, which is, slower and more spiritual and all of that. And I, of course, integrate like who I am and my values within acting and screenwriting, but it is a bit of a different field, right? And I'm not even talking about the industry as a whole. That would be like a whole different topic, but specifically the act of depending on someone else's yes and doing things that, are in an industry or a field that tends to be glamorized, that has a certain weight to it. So I don't know. I question it every now and then, but that tweet from Kaya Nova felt great. Honestly, it felt great to hear that, because I tell that to myself, but there's a certain type of validation that comes from hearing it when someone else is saying it. Another thing I wanted to bring up is I have been yet again working on getting my schedule lighter. So one thing I did, I'm all about slowing down, but I feel like life can come at you and you really think that you were moving slow, but it's been like slowly accelerating. And that can be a lot. For me, it looked like adding, a few more meetings on my schedule, and even like subscribing to a gym membership. Is it a gym membership? Should I say that? Just like a workout group. And so that has like specific days and times attached to it. And it ended up making me feel like very restricted, very, like I just didn't feel good at times when I couldn't show up. And I don't want to feel like that, especially when it comes to my fitness. Like, I want to be able to work on what I want to work on, take care of myself, have a nice experience, but not feel guilt for not showing up. I needed more flexibility, so I had to, after May and June, honestly, I had to just look at my schedule and be like, what can I change? What needs to change right now? Because it got to a point where I didn't even know where I would fit like time to do nothing, time to do home improvement, which is like, there are two things that I really, really, really want to do. And there's that quote that's been making the rounds, and I think it's very true. It's like creatives need time to do nothing, because otherwise, like, you can't recharge, you can't daydream. If you're constantly creating, like in the act of creation, you can't, brainstorm. Like, you can't relax and experience life outside of being an artist. And you need to experience life, experience yourself to show up and be inspired. That's what I believe. I'm really grateful that I got to kind of stretch my schedule in that way and just see what worked and what didn't work. However, I've definitely had to try and make it lighter. And that's not to say that I'm going to work much, much, much less, but it's that there's more flexibility. Even for the Flowprints, where like technically I made it like, okay, there's 2 to 3 days per week max dedicated to the Flowprints. So that means meetings, that means creation, that means, thinking about what's next, like the next steps and everything. And even that felt like too much, because I was just like, man, number one, I'm never sticking to 2 to 3 days. And number two, it feels like certain things take up too much space. And because I work on different things at the same time, it's like every single project, every single craft and discipline tries to take up my whole week. And I was like, nah, that does not feel good. I need to figure out a way to create more space, more white space where I'm not doing anything, or when I'm able to focus more on a specific goal without feeling like I'm completely stalling on the other ones. But anyway, my immediate goals are to find and carve out some time to do nothing, so complete vacation and time to do some home improvement. And actually, that's going to be it for today. That's a short and sweet episode. I really, really hope you enjoy it. And I want to say, I hope I bring a new meditation to you very soon. There's one at the end of the rebirth episode, so if you want to check that out, absolutely do so. I really enjoyed doing it. It's a new exercise for me, and I just hope to be able to do that more regularly, maybe every other episode or so. So thanks for tuning in, and see you next time. It's a wrap for today. We appreciate you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed every bit of this episode. Before you leave, though, we got a special request for our MVPs. Please don't forget to tell a friend about us and take a quick minute to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. It means the world to us and really helps our platform reach more amazing listeners like you. Follow us at the Flowprints on all socials, and see you next time.